I needed a master of executions for my world eaters, and because I'm not a fan of the actual model, of course I decided to kickbash one. I used the chonky Black Templars Castellan as a base for my conversion. The bolt pistol is from the Berserker sprue, and the head, backpack, and the chain axe from the Lord on Juggernaut kit. I built the Castellan's body as instructed. The bolt pistol fit easily after just cutting it from the wrist of the Berserker. The axe needed a few more cuts. I compared the fit of the axe hand with the Castellan's arm. The best place to make the cut was just after the elbow. I cleaned the cut with my knife and then made a corresponding cut on the chain axe arm. After cleaning up this cut, I proceeded to try and fit the power cable onto the chain axe. Before making any further modifications to the left arm of the model, I tested the fit of the backpack and drilled pinning holes on both arms. I managed to drill through the right arm's elbow, but the hole was so small and got filled with the pin, so I didn't bother to pull out any green stuff. After the pins were placed but not glued, I tried to match the power cable again to the chain axe and snapped it off. Without the cable, aligning the chain axe was much easier. I decided to cut off the rest of the overhanging cable. I later made a small length of green stuff cable that connected to his elbow. After pausing the chain axe, I glued on the model's head, finishing the build of the model. I left the backpack separate for easier painting. I primed the model black and started working towards white with series of greys and off-whites. First layer was done using Army Painter Uniform Grey. This was an all-over coat for the model. Second layer was applied from a slight angle and done using Army Painter Ash Grey. Third layer was Army Painter Gorgon Hide and applied from a much higher angle. As a last highlight, I applied a light layer of Liquitex Titanium White ink to the highest parts. Same ink was used to give the backpack a zenithal highlight. To paint the blue of the backpack, I started with Army Painter Deep Blue and gave the backpack an all-over coat. After the base coat, I gave the backpack a top-down coat of Army Painter Crystal Blue. As a last highlight, I sprayed some Army Painter Electric Blue straight from the top. The cloth, helmet and chain axe head were all painted using the same three blues, starting with the base coat of deep blue. For the cloth, I added 3 layers of deep blue and crystal blue mixed 1 to 1, focusing on a smaller area with each layer. Next, I went in with just crystal blue. For the cloth, I did horizontal lines to create texture. For the helmet and chain axe head, I did a few layers focusing on a smaller area each time. I repeated this process with electric blue. After painting the cloth, I used Army Painter Matte Black to chip the armor. I won't add silver to these as it would just drown in the white armor. I also painted the soft seals, cables and bolt case with Games Workshop Black Templars Contrast and the axe handle with Gilliman Flesh Contrast. For all the bronze bits, I used Green Stuff World's Gladius Bronze. For the skulls, I gave them a base coat of Army Painter Banshee Brown. While the skulls were drying, I gave the bronze parts a wash of Army Painter Flesh Wash. I then gave all the skulls a wash of Army Painter Soft Tone. After the wash on the bronze had dried, I gave it a highlight of Gladius Bronze. Next up was oils. Using black, white and brown oil paints, I dot filtered the model by stippling on some oil paints and then blending them using a brush slightly dampened in mineral spirits. While the oils on the armor were drying, I gave the metallics a dry brush with Army Painter Shining Silver. This finished the painting stage on the model. I started by marking an area on the base in front of the model I would cut away and making a bottom plate for the base. Attach magnets for transports on the bottom plate. cutting the hole on the base using a combination of drilling and carving, I glued on some cork sheet on the base. I also stuck some cork and other debris in the hole I made to create a visual of broken asphalt. I then proceeded to cover the cork sheet with a mixture of grout, water and glue. After the grout layer had dried, I placed an appropriate amount of skulls in the hole I made earlier. The base was painted with a series of greys using dry brushing, and the skulls were painted the same way as on the model itself. Next step was to place a propaganda poster on the base. This was fixed in place by saturating it in a mixture of PVA, glue, water and matte orange. As a last touch to the base, I mixed 5 minutes epoxy and Blood Angel's red contrast paint and poured it on to the hole over the skulls for a pool of blood effect. With this done, all that was needed was to pin on the model and my Master of Executions was done.